Hello.
Hello. In this episode, we are going to talk about how we support each other when we are struggling and how we struggle to support one another.
And if you are not subscribed yet, please poke that subscribe button.
Poke it.
Poke that bell if you want to get the notifications.
Boop.
And boop. And if you want to support us more and get episodes early, you could get a membership on the YouTube channel or glitterandcatlitter.com. Enjoy.
Glitter and cat litter.
Glitter and cat litter.
So I am very lucky that I have what some people would say are wild ideas or like strange things that I do. And the person that helps me put it all together is my life partner and the person that I'm with all the time. What was that face? Life partner? You don't like that phrase?
No, I'm hiding from the compliments.
Taylor has his eyes shut so hard. I thought you were like cringing at that. I'm very lucky in that. And we spend a ton of time together, which is wonderful and probably not so wonderful because I have the person there that is involved with all of my wonderfulness and all of my shortcomings there to just like help me. And also, it sucks when someone's trying to help you through that sometimes because you don't want to hear what you've done wrong or what you can fix or all of that. Not all the time.
Sometimes somebody's just got to whip you into shape.
No, never. But I'm very lucky that I have that. And if you don't have that, I hope that you can find that either within yourself or within someone else, some sort of partner in whatever you do, or a sounding board, or just someone to talk to. But fair warning, when they're trying to help, sometimes it hurts. But you help me a lot, whether I like it in the moment or not.
I feel like it doesn't have to hurt, though.
No, it doesn't have to hurt.
Then why do you make it hurt?
Because I want to be good at everything all the time and have zero flaws.
Ugh.
But that's not the reality. Same for you, though. You're not perfect.
Do we need to talk about that you don't want to do anything that you fail at?
I don't think anyone wants to do anything that they're bad at.
I wouldn't play drums if I was amazing at them.
But you wish you were amazing at them.
I wish I was better than I am now.
Exactly.
That's still not amazing.
Failing is part of the process, but it sucks.
Only sort of. Sometimes. I
I
don't
don't
think it
like
always
it.
sucks.
I'm not a fan.
But also sometimes failing leads you to the things that you end up liking the most.
That is very true. And in my life, that has happened many times.
Like
A business gone wrong in 2018 that led me to where I am now.
That's a good one.
I think it was 2018.
I don't know. I was assuming to something different or
What?
assuming you would go with something different. I don't know. That's
the big one. That was like a business that imploded upon itself that was like something we had worked so hard for so many years, and it was devastating. And then so many things came out of it that were way more amazing than that could have ever been. And I am being vague on purpose on that one because I don't want to talk about it.
I'm not asking. I was trying to get you away from it, and you chose to double down on it.
I wanted to explain a little bit further that like even those devastating moments can lead to wonderful things. You are correct. Yes.
I was more thinking in the form of like, oh, well, you took a photo, but you accidentally sneezed while you took the photo, and it was the cool blurry photo that you've been trying to figure out how to take, and it was on accident. Or I've not done that, by the way. I wish that would be so cool to be like, take the picture.
No, I have a good example.
Okay.
Like the guy from Bodie, he was showing us the film photos, and
Oh
they were
yeah,
the like weird
yeah, yeah,
double photos, and I was like, that is so sick.
yeah. One of the baristas at Bodie Leaf, he was disappointed. He had never shot with film before, and he was given a film camera, and he took it went to this like I don't know, I guess
Camping or
camping trip.
hiking or
Yeah,
something.
some sort of outdoors thing. I'm not very versed in that. But he took it on that trip, and he was talking to me about it because I had a camera with me, and he was like, I am so bummed about how these photos came out. They like don't look good. And I was like, well, show me some, and that's for me, I'm like, oh, whatever. I take plenty of photos. But for someone who doesn't take a lot of photos and you just dove in with film first, like sharing the 36 that you've taken, and that's all
That's
you've ever
pretty
taken,
scary.
that's terrifying to someone who's a photographer.
Yeah.
So props to him for showing them to me. But then he shows them to me, and some of them are like the like light leaky, which this might mean nothing to you, but like say there's a photo where you kind of see the whatever the photo is, and then like there's this weird like white and pinkish red just kind of across the side of it. That's honestly the best way to describe it. Just
Yeah.
like a
I'm just so jealous that you could do that. Was that it, kind of?
yes, that was.
It tickled.
Nope, you ruined it. You tried too hard. Nicole can't raspberry.
My tongue. It tickles so bad.
You're silly. But so it just has like this weird kind of schmutz of white, which is called a light leak, which is too much light on the film. But they can be really artistic and really creative, and you can't. Maybe if you have a broken camera, you can predict it. But it just kind of happens. So it's just part of shooting with film. And he was so disappointed in them. And some of the photos were like blurry because he didn't know about like shutter speeds and stuff. But like we were looking at the photos, and I was like, dude, some of these are so awesome. I'm like, the fact that they're not in focus makes it a cooler photo than if it was in focus. The fact that there is the light leak makes it way cooler than if there wasn't a light leak. It makes it like this exciting vibe. Like it makes it like an artistic journey while you were out camping versus some film photos from camping.
Sometimes flaws are very good.
Yeah, I can say that I like light leaks, but I haven't like landed on any that have been accidental that I've like been like, oh, this is the best thing.
I seem to remember one that was really cool. It wasn't necessarily light leaks, but it was like the double photo, like a photo over a photo.
That was recently. I had a roll of film. Andrew let me borrow one of his cameras. It was his like vintage Leica.
Yeah.
And I completely forgot. There was one detail that he told me. He goes, "Hey Taylor, when you go to like re-roll the film when you're done, you have to push this switch and then re-roll the film like normal." And I said, "Okay, I won't forget that." And 3 days later, by the time I'm done with the film trying to re-roll it, I like get it partially re-rolled and it's stuck and I can't figure out how to do it. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I know how to do this. I should know better. Like I have 4 film cameras. Like I can do this. What is going on? And I'm like looking at it and I'm pushing all the things appropriately, or at least I think, and I get it like stuck. And I'm like, what the heck? And as I'm turning the camera, I push the shutter button and all I hear is click. And I'm like, oh crap. I just took a photo and I've not rewound the film, so it's there.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a lens cap. It was fully ready to be exposed. And I'm like, well, I hope that wasn't a photo that I really wanted. And I finally call Andrew. I was being stubborn. I didn't call him. And he tells me exactly what to do. He's like, do you push the switch? I'm like, oh, no. Push the switch, rewind it. Anyway, fast forward to getting the film back. I double exposed 2 photos, which means you've probably seen this as like an artsy thing every once in a while. I seem to remember it being like people used to do it like old school Instagram with like mountains and then something else or with the
100%.
mountains. But basically a double exposed photo is you take a photo, right? Say like for this example, I'm going to say I take a photo of Nicole. And then so I take the photo of Nicole, click. And then if you're watching the podcast, the plant that's in the middle, no, that's too close to you. The disco ball. If you're not watching, we have a disco ball in here. So, join the party if you want to watch it. If not, continue listening. Okay, thanks. Appreciate you. So say I take a picture of the disco ball, but the way you do it is for film, you don't wind the film. Or basically,
that's how you do it?
I mean, I don't know I've never really tried to dive into it with a film camera. Maybe the other way to do it would be, I'm trying to think how would you rewind the film back? I don't know. That might be an actual question for Andrew. He probably knows how, or Google. But for this instance, I took a photo of Nicole. Great. I have the photo of Nicole. Now if I was using digital stuff, it would be just as easy to take a photo of the disco ball. And then in Photoshop, you put the two over each other and lower the opacity of.
Oh, I knew a big word.
Yep, of the disco ball, so that you can see you through the disco ball.
I'm totally gonna do that.
So that's that's what a double exposure is. But traditionally, it's done with film cameras, and I've not done it on purpose ever.
It's best to do it accidentally.
No, because if you have a photo that you needed and desired, and then you ruin it with a double exposure.
You're right. Anyway, sometimes failure is a good thing, like that.
Yeah. Other times failure is a bad thing, like when you drop a weight and you didn't let go, and then your arm rips out of its socket, and then you're.
Why is that where your mind went?
I don't know. I was just trying to think of something fun.
That is horrific.
Yeah, I know. Or you slip and fall, and then you go down 13 flights of stairs, like in John Wick 4, and it's like. He's pushed down the stairs and he rolls down all the stairs.
Oh, yeah. That was disappointing.
If I'm being honest, that was kind of silly because you can tell that he pushed himself down the stairs more. But it's John Wick, and I like it, and I'm not complaining. It was a fun movie.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know. Why did I get to that part of the failure and disappointing?
That was disappointing, though.
That sounds like a broken rib.
Or like a few. Have you ever broken a rib?
No, knock on wood. Jesus, why are you doing that to me? It's not actually brick.
I don't know if I've ever
those of you that think it's actually brick.
Broken a rib, but I have
dislodged one.
Yeah.
Unlodged one. Dislocate. You can't dislocate it, can you?
It hurt to breathe for a while.
Can you dislocate a rib?
I don't know.
Do you dislocate? Is that what it would be called? I guess you're removing it from the location.
I know someone who got a set of ribs taken out.
Why?
To be a better pair skater, so that she was more flexible.
Oh, okay.
It was wild.
That seems.
She was a very good pair skater.
Did she win ever?
Mm-hmm. She was Italian.
Good, because if you didn't win through all that effort and you didn't win,
she won a lot.
Okay.
I think she was winning before she had the ribs taken out, and then she kept winning.
And then she said, hey, I need to take this one step further, and I need to be even better than I was already, and I'm going to go ribless.
Maybe it was because she was lighter, too.
That's not that much lighter. Your ribs don't weigh that much. Have you eaten ribs before? Like that, they're...
Not the bones.
Yeah, but when you eat ribs, you have to hold the rib.
Yeah.
It's not like pounds of...
Yeah, that's true.
Once the meat's off of it, it's just a little stick.
True.
I feel like that's close to the size. I don't know. I'm not a professional. It sounds right. I say things with such confidence sometimes.
A lot of the times. And then I just don't have the heart to fact check him.
You could fact check me, but I'm pretty certain that it doesn't weigh that much more than like the cow rib that you would get if you were eating like...
Maybe not.
Beef ribs because pork ribs are small.
The look in his eyes is like he was so serious saying
I'm confident.
Those pork ribs are small.
I'm confident that one is larger than the other. I do know that fact.
Yeah.
And I know that if I feel my rib compared to the rib, I don't like grabbing my ribs. It's ooey.
Don't.
But if I feel my ribs compared to
Let me feel your ribs.
Nope. There's too much muscle. You can't feel them anymore.
Oh my goodness.
It's false. This is not a true statement. No, but if I don't know, I'm also not like a connoisseur
No,
of
I'm
ribs.
trying to see if your ribs are bigger than mine.
Maybe not. My pectoral is.
I don't know about that.
I did not say bub. I said pectoral.
Oh, goodness. Anyway, back to the subject that we want to talk about, being supportive, getting... Taylor is...
You could just get a bra for that.
Speaking of boobs, that was a great segue if you had like caught onto that real quick. That was wonderful.
I did catch onto it pretty quick.
Not quick enough. Not quick enough.
It took a minute, but we got there.
Speaking of support, you are very good at trying to get me out of a funk real quick. You like to attack the subject at hand immediately.
Yes. We talk it out now, not later.
Now. I learned this very quickly with Taylor because I don't know if you remember this. This is like 10 years ago now. Within the first few months of us being together, we got into some sort of disagreement and we were outside of your mom's house. And I was like, I need to get away from you right now. Like, I need to go. And you were like, no. We need to talk about this right now. And I was like, what? And you were like, yes, we need to talk about it right now. I don't want you to leave. I want to talk about it right now. And I was like, oh no. Like, no one had ever said that to me.
No one had made you think.
We need to talk about this right now. No one had ever said that to me. And I was like, I can't. I don't have words for you.
I do mostly remember that. I don't remember the situation or what on earth we were talking about.
I have no idea.
Couldn't care any less. Clearly, it doesn't matter. But I can say that I do recall you doing the like iconic movie show couple argument thing where you're like, you know what? Psh, throw something on the ground. Not breakable, just throw something on the ground. And you're like, I'm leaving. Like slamming stuff or like the thought of slamming stuff.
Drama.
And, creating drama and a little wave behind you as you leave. And I went, oh, okay. Yeah, you want to try and play that game? All right, sick. Well, what if I remove the water? Now you can't make a wave, can you? And we're going to solve that problem right now. And you went, oh, nobody's ever done this to me. And I said, hey, use your words. You don't just get to leave all heated and all pissed off. What happens if something happens on your way home? What happens if you just think too much about it and now you're just mad at me for something that I never did or didn't exist? Why did you remove yourself when you know what was going on? You know what was happening. So why don't you talk about it right now?
Fair.
Now, that doesn't necessarily work for everybody, but it probably should. Seems to work pretty good for us.
Well, seems to work pretty good for Taylor. I still don't want to talk about it immediately, but I have to. I get it. I should.
You just got to use your words. You gotta articulate it. You gotta use your words.
What if I don't want to?
It's not a want at that point. If you've put yourself in that situation, you don't get the want card anymore. Your opportunity to choose
has passed.
Your battle is gone because you picked one. You don't get to pick twice. You get once, and then once you have to deal with those cards, then you can be dealt a new hand. Ooh, look, I made a poker reference. Ooh, you can hit once, and then you gotta do it or whatever.
I don't know how to play.
I don't either. I'm making stuff up now. I think I don't really play cards. I mean, I feel like that mostly works, but sometimes it's like hindsight is better. Mm-hmm. But your hindsight is forget about it, out of sight, out of mind. I never want to think about it again, which doesn't help anyone grow or get better or improve or change or anything.
It helps you get by.
Hardly. It's like
But nobody wants to
imagine
get by.
so
Like, you want to get better.
so imagine a room, right? A disheveled attic of stuff that you've stored for a long time, right?
Sounds fun.
I'm thinking like American Dad, if you've seen that show. Well, actually, I was kind of thinking of one of the commercials where it has the creepy doll heads in there. Was it like Geico or something at one
Probably.
point? I don't know. But just think about like a room that's like disheveled, right?
Okay.
And think about, you go, ooh, I'm going to play with these toys from this box that I just opened. That's fun. And you go, and you throw it all onto the floor, right? Just toys everywhere.
Sounded more like a film.
Okay, it was a film roll of toys everywhere. And now your decision was, I want to play with them in the dark. Lights off.
Okay.
Where are you going to step? How do you know where they are? You don't have any light. What are you going to do?
How is that related to this?
That's the decision you made. That's what you got to live with. You got to act on your decision. Now, in hindsight, because hindsight's 2020, don't turn off the lights. Then it's more fun to play.
Got it.
This is a long one. This is hard to follow. I know. I'm going with a weird analogy, but I felt it.
Loves analogies.
I do.
Loves them.
Sure
Usually when we are having a discussion about something,
that's a nice way for saying arguing about something.
the only time that I am completely lost is when he is giving me an analogy for something and I'm trying my hardest to follow. And I give him a look of like, you're gonna need to explain that one. Like I'm listening, I promise, but I don't get it. And then he's like, do you not get this? And I'm like, no. And then he has to explain it again. And then I say, you got to come up with a different one. And then he usually does.
You hardly say it. I usually see it and then I just start coming up with a new one.
Yeah, you.
There was one today, unrelated to being frustrated. There was one today where I said something and you looked at me like, how does that have anything to do with my life? And I was like, I literally could not be more clear.
I do remember that, but I don't remember what you said.
It was something about filming or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was something so blatantly obvious. It was more like, I don't know, your cup's yellow.
It was obviously not.
It was
obvious.
It was literally, there was no other way to explain what I was saying.
Except in an analogy?
Yes. And when I repeated it, you went, you just stopped listening.
Maybe.
Your brain went.
It is possible.
Well, in the hindsight being 2020, or rather, not the hindsight being 2020, talking about stuff like right as it happens, you have to not be emotionally charged.
Which is difficult.
Which never works. You know, I sit here saying this. And
you got to take deep breaths.
Even that doesn't really work. I feel like because you breathe in tense and then you breathe out tense and then you breathe out in tense and your shoulders get higher and you get more flexor and
you need to
everything.
do. I saw a TikTok and it was a dad trying to calm down his kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he held up his fingers and the kid needed to breathe because he was like freaking out about something and he needed to blow out the candles.
See, that would work for me if I didn't know that you're full of SH.
I'm going to do that to you the next time you're mad. I'm going to go blow out the candles.
And I will take your middle finger and rip it off.
Taylor is not a violent person, but no. I swear on this podcast, he gets very violent. Get very intense.
If I was mad and you were to tell me,
I'm the violent person.
If you were to go, hold on. True, you are more violent than I am. If I'm upset and you go, blow out the candles, I am going to look at you with the worst daggers and profanities are going to fly.
It would be so worth it.
It would be pretty funny. I don't know if I could stay very mad, but I would be so annoyed with that.
Maybe I found the new thing. I try to find things that will like calm Taylor down when he's upset. Maybe that's it.
Maybe.
We'll find out.
Man, I just had something worth sharing and I can't remember it now. But,
Did it have to
great.
do with birthday candles or breathing?
It had to do with something about what we were talking about, like being tense or breathe. Oh, I was going to make a middle finger joke, maybe. I don't know. That sounds like where it was going to go. But the emotionally charged thing is really difficult. I am Italian. If if you didn't know, I'm not full Italian. I'm like halvesies,
Yeah.
but maybe a little more, probably halvesies.
I think half.
But emotions, man, they run wild, passionate.
And I'm emotional, but I just cry.
You just bottle it up till it goes in tears.
Mm-hmm.
It's like pixie dust, but tears.
I think that's part of my problem with wanting to talk immediately is I know I'm going to cry. It could be anything. I'm emotional and I don't want to talk because I don't want to cry in front of whoever I'm talking to, which is usually you.
I find that interesting because almost always you end up crying anyway.
Right.
Which is, it's pretty inevitable. And I say that, but like, truthfully, I can say something funny and it might make her cry. I can say something sad and it might make her cry. Unrelated to us, sad, and it might make her cry.
I'm a crier.
I could show her a picture that makes her happy and it might make her cry. I could honestly show her a dope picture of ice cream and she might cry. It has to be.
You could hand me ice cream and I would cry.
I have handed you ice cream and you have cried. So to give a little light into the depth of the crying, it's pretty wide on the range of when you might cry, which is so weird to me that that's what stops you from communicating because you might as well just do it anyway.
True. You reminded me that when we were like on a very strict diet, I was talking about fuoco and I started crying.
You can talk about pizza with her and she'll cry.
I literally started crying, like full on crying. It wasn't just like one tear. Usually like when I say I'm a crier, like it
usually wells up a little bit and then maybe one drops.
Yeah. But this was like actual tears that I had to like wipe off my face because I was thinking of pizza.
Coming from the one of us who doesn't have a pizza tattoo.
Yeah.
Which is very funny. Well, when I'm trying to help you push through something or you're frustrated, obviously if it's with me, it doesn't usually work for me to do any of this, but I usually have to ask you the same question like a few different times in different formations of the question, which usually ends up just being a different tone of the question because it's mostly like, what's wrong? And I can't really say wrong what's. You'd look at me like I'm a total dummy.
Yeah.
But like,
that is true. You do have to like change your tone if I don't answer.
And typically it's like nice, maybe nice, condescending, or more condescending.
But you are right. That's like when I'm frustrated or something. Usually it's not with you. Because if I'm frustrated with you, you know what's wrong. And you know, usually.
And that's when I skip the nices and I go to condescending.
Mm-hmm.
And
because
I'm making you talk.
It makes me laugh usually, and then I can talk.
And that's the other way I diffuse you is with some form of humor, which sometimes works and sometimes does. I can't even think of something that would make you laugh right now.
I don't know. But I can't make you laugh when you're upset about something or frustrated.
It usually just becomes a challenge for me. And I go, I'm mad. I know she's about to try and crack a little joke here. I'm going to absolutely burn that and say, no, I'm not going to laugh.
What I did today, Taylor was mad at me. I hugged him.
Okay.
You were still mad at me.
I mean, that works better than trying to make me laugh. It works better than you sitting cross-armed across the room, glazed over, staring at me.
I did try that first.
It doesn't work. Stupid.
I try to be tough, and it comes off as like a stubborn teenager that's like, I'm not listening to you.
No,
that's my toughness.
It's the, I'm listening to you, but you don't know that I'm not listening to you, except I look at you and go, I know you're not listening to me.
I was listening to you, though.
Sure.
We should get into a full-blown argument on this podcast.
No, because then that means we have to do an explicit episode. If I have to let it fly, I'm not gonna. I can't censor it.
That's fair.
There's
That's
no
fair.
way. But I know that I'm hard to deal with, like when I'm not in a good space, which actually has been this past week or so because of like my like digestion stuff with the.
Which sounds pretty silly, but it makes a lot of sense. Like I knew a few days into you like not feeling your best, I was like, oh boy, this is affecting him.
It's also a very subconscious thing that I didn't really know. Like I knew that I was very uncomfortable, but I didn't really see how much it was affecting me until I saw how much it was affecting like my tiredness and energy levels.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm being like super lethargic pretty much all day, even though I hadn't like done anything that would make me lethargic or even eaten anything really. It was like a very strange thing. And then you pointing out that like, oh, this is kind of going back to like how you used to feel and how you used to be. And I was like, oh crap. Okay.
It is really true. Like I see it firsthand of like when you are a better version of you, you're better for everyone else around you. Like everything around you gets better. And obviously,
you're speaking the royal you, correct?
Yeah. But also you. Like when you're specifically you, the man I'm pointing at, when you are mad, everything goes wrong. Everything.
Yes.
You bump something, putting the weights into the trunk. You do something else. And it is all like comical if you weren't actually upset about whatever. But so like for me, it's comical. For you, you are not having a good time. But I only like twice I've pointed it out where like, hey, you're like causing all of these things, right? Like if you just like took a moment and you were simmered down a bit, everything would be fine. And the last time I said that, you were like, I know, like so mad. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I try to avoid my dexterity. It's funny. My dexterity doesn't really go anywhere. I guess it's more like something happens where I guess I'm just paying less attention to all of that.
Mm-hmm. But it's like when you are a better version
like
of
bump
you.
my arm on the wall or like on the door frame or
anything.
something. And I'm like, how? I usually have a foot on each side of me pretty much, or like 6 inches on each side of the door frame. And now there's 0 inches on one side and I just walked straight through it. How? I was like, I'm pretty certain I was centered up with the door before I walked out. God.
Pretty sure.
I don't know how that happens. But yeah, I wish I wasn't so frustrated or grumpy or whatever, sharp, snappy.
But when you feel good, you're not.
That's true. But I mean, I still get into a bad mood when I'm, or like I can,
Sure.
but I guess I don't as much when I'm feeling better.
Yeah.
Which is really annoying because that just means that everything is perspective. And
so annoying. You have to feel good all the time. What a shame.
No, it's more annoying that everything is related to perspective. And if you're like, nah, I don't like this, then everything's going to be poopy. Versus if you're like, this isn't my ideal situation, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Then nothing's going to be as poopy.
Yeah.
As if you, like, it's all perspective. And it's annoying how simple that is. And how equally simple it is for you to go, I know I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to have a good perspective. I'm just going to have a bad perspective.
Yeah.
Which is so frustrating. But
it is.
Your ability to receive any form of support from me is like almost impossible. Which is very interesting because I feel like people have kind of asked us about this. It's like, how do you guys, I don't know if that's what they're trying to ask when they say like, how do you work together? But it's like, if you're talking about like how I help her as she's trying to push through something or struggling or whatever she's trying to do, it's like she really just likes to be in silence, which is impossible to help because I'm like, okay, what's up? Like I can hear you hemming and hawing from the other room. And I'm like, okay.
Nothing.
And I'm like, yeah, it's literally zero response. I'm like, are you okay? That's what I'm working with, people. That silence you just heard, that's what I'm typically working with. And that doesn't really give me anything to navigate. And then you have
Well, I let you know when I need your help.
hardly, and it's usually you're so frustrated you've cried and then you didn't ask, and then now you're asking, and then now I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
And then you come to me and you're like, I've been trying for 3 hours. And I'm like, 3 hours? Nicole, you
Are
could
you
have
talking
asked
about
me.
Photoshop?
I don't know. Just anytime you ask for help with that, it's like 3 hours. You could have asked me 3 seconds into it, and then I would have helped.
But I want to be able to do it on my own.
You're a beginner. It's
Yeah.
better to ask questions to someone who's not a beginner,
But
so then you can figure out beyond that on your own.
But I've learned step 1 is Google it. Try to find
you
out.
want me to send you that let me Google that for you link?
No, because you just say it to me. And then
do say
number
that to
2, if I can't figure it out, then I ask you. But I do ask you a lot of questions that like I should know the answer, that I like should be present enough to answer it. And yet I'm not. And so I ask him and he just like looks at me and I'm like, okay, I know.
I was going to bring that up. So a little behind the scenes, I do a lot of the tech stuff. I've set up all of the tech stuff.
Correct.
That does not mean that I still use most of the tech stuff.
Right.
She's pretty capable, more capable than she lets off. But very often she goes, hey, how do I do this? And I'm like, you have to be kidding me, child. You have to be kidding. And I'm going to use something that I've not heard you do. I'm just using this as an example, just because it's like all I can think about. I have Apple products in front of me. How do I turn my watch on silent? I know you know how to do that.
I do.
I'm not saying that that's the thing.
I do. My watch is always on silent.
Okay, great. But I'm saying like I don't know if it's because you're too scared to ask or too scared to make the wrong decision, or
I think a lot. I mean, it goes back to literally like the core of everything. Like, I don't want to mess up.
okay.
I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to do it wrong.
Yeah.
So asking you, if I mess it up and I follow your directions, then you messed it up.
Except there's been plenty of times where you've done that and you've done the wrong thing, even though I told you exactly what to do. But
I don't consciously
edge
know
case.
I'm doing that because of that, but you point that out a lot when I like ask something that I need to decide and I don't want to. So I ask you and you're like, why are you putting that decision on me? Like, that's your decision to make. And I'm like, dang it. Why couldn't you just give me an answer?
Sure. But so she'll come up to me and be like, hey, how do I turn my watch on silent? And I'm like, don't know. There's no chance. This is not real life, is this? And I don't do a very good job of having patience with you with that, because I'm like, you have to be kidding me. And it's most of the time it's like with the camera or something. And it's like, how do I turn it on? How do I autofocus? I'm like, oh my God.
And genuinely, like, those questions are for real in that moment because I don't know where that information went.
Not, though, you've used autofocus, you've turned it on and off, you've used it, you've hit record, you've done all the things a bajillion times.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come to me because I'm in the same room. I've forgotten how to do everything.
I stood at my computer. You weren't here. I stood at my computer last week, ready to teach a private lesson, and nothing was working. And I was like, okay, Nicole, pause, figure this out. And it was like that moment, which I think we've talked about, of like, I have my skates on, the lights are on, I'm ready to go. No technical stuff is in my brain. Like none. I am so focused on whatever I'm going to teach. My mind is not here. And I stood there for at least a minute thinking through everything.
It's probably like 12 seconds.
Probably. I needed to press the button to turn the thing
You
on.
had to turn it on and then it would work.
Did you turn it on? That question's a legit question.
Well, okay. I think I've brought this up before. Everything with problem solving is signal flow. And if that sounds weird and too much effort, you go from the very beginning of the process to the very end of the process. That process could be how you plug an iPhone in, which would be or a phone. You take the power brick, you find the outlet, you plug the brick into the outlet, you plug the cable into the brick, you plug the cable into the phone. You make sure that the power for the outlet is on.
As someone receiving this advice, pro tip, try not to get mad at whoever is asking you, did you plug it in? Did you turn it on? Did you turn it off? And then did you turn it on? They're asking you these very important questions for a reason. It may make you feel like the biggest idiot in the world, but they're legit questions.
I very often, actually, when people ask me to help solve problems, it sounds like no, it doesn't. They like assume that I have a condescending tone or something with like me, whether if it's like over text. Like if I'm on the phone, it's hard to assume I have a condescending tone if I'm literally just like, did you do this? But over text, a lot of time they're like, you just think I'm stupid. And I'm like, no, what? No. Where did you get that idea? And they're like, you're just always annoyed when I ask for help. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Not at all. But if you're going to ask me for help with something that I don't actually know what part of the process you've done, I have to ask you from the very beginning of the process all the way to the end. And hopefully we solve it way closer to the beginning than we do the end. And then that means it wasn't a very complicated thing. And maybe you might remember next time. And if you don't, that's okay because you know how to ask me. But so often people are so offended by me asking the simple questions where it's like, did you turn it off and then did you turn it back on? Did you restart it? Is it plugged in? That's a huge one.
Yeah.
Like
I always say, like, did you blow on it?
Well, that one's you being funny because of video games when you were a kid.
But a lot of times it works.
Yeah, dust in the way works sometimes. But with you specifically, I typically am not very nice about it. I wouldn't say that I'm like very rude, but I'm definitely annoyed.
You were annoyed that I didn't follow all the steps for my ring last week.
Yes, because so her Aura
That's like
ring,
a very real.
Yes, her Aura ring. The battery stopped working, so she got a new one. So it wasn't her fault. Like it wasn't her fault that the
battery stopped working.
No, what was I trying to say? Oh, the problem solving didn't fix it.
Luckily,
but
me.
She goes, my ring's not charging, and I go, that's very strange. And I think I asked if you even like looked it up. Like, did you look up how to fix it? And you said no. And I'm like, already.
I did.
You hadn't when you first told me that. And I literally like face palmed. And I'm like, Nicole, I don't know. You set it on the charger, the light blinks and it charges and then it stops blinking and turns green when it's done charging. The end. It's literally all there is to it. And you're like, well, it's not working. I'm like, is the light on? Yeah. How am I supposed to solve this? I'm like, did you look it up? No. Oh my God.
So then I did.
I didn't look it up. I was too frustrated or annoyed. I didn't look it up. You looked it up. And then you told me.
It was my ring and he was annoyed.
Yeah. And then you told me that like later, you're like, it's still not working. And I'm like, and you're like, but I contacted customer support. I'm like, cool, you're doing the steps. I'm like, did you look it up? And you like hesitated and you were like, yeah. Like that you said it as if you were unsure if you actually did the steps that you said you did before you contacted them. And now I'm like, okay, well, give me your ring and now let me go through the steps. And you skipped half of their steps. They tell you all of the ways to try and fix it that are all plausible problems that could solve it. And you went, I'm just going to do one of them.
Yeah, I did the easiest ones.
Out of like 5, you did 2. Yeah, I know. But that's the part of problem solving that you're like, I'm like, one of them, hold on. One of them was literally you unplug the cable, you twist it the other way, you plug it back in.
That one I did.
You said you didn't.
I did that one.
Okay.
Turn it to the other side.
Yeah, okay.
180 degrees.
Anyway, Basically,
that
she
one.
couldn't remember whether or not she had done the steps and was not confident in herself. So I had to go through and do the steps as well.
And it didn't work.
No, it did not work. It didn't work. But the lesson here is if you're going to ask somebody for help, 1, don't be mean to them when they try to help you. 2, take the advice. 3, if they talk to you like you're stupid, maybe check and make sure that you're not doing something real stupid. Because sometimes...
Check in with yourself.
Because sometimes it might be really stupid. So it's...
Like me standing in front of my computer wondering why the thing that I use every day is not working.
Did you turn it on?
Did not turn it on.
But the funny thing for you and most of the tech stuff is you tell me a statement of something that's not working, and then I ask you the question that you told me.
And I take
your statement and I make it a question, and I give it right back to you. And you look at me a little bit like, how dare you, for a second. And then I just like go, you got to answer it because I'm not going further than this.
A lot of time that helps because it's like just hearing it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's why.
Yeah. I just make you use your noodle and you usually get the answer.
I wish I could do that for you.
Well, there's not a lot that I ask you for like the problem solving stuff.
Maybe you should.
I don't have a lot that I haven't solved myself.
You don't have any problems?
No, I've got plenty of problems, but not like the solvable ones that work for these steps. Or it's when I'm good at this thing, or when I'm good at that part of the process. It doesn't.
I can help you with your emotions.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not ready to just be welling up with tears every day and just bawling my eyeballs out when I see a pizza or a coffee.
It's kind of nice sometimes.
Maybe. I mean, you made me laugh so hard I cried earlier.
Yeah.
So that was funny. I don't remember what that was over, but yeah, I asked you a question. What did you ask me about?
If you were a good student and you started crying. It wasn't even a good question.
That's fair. I don't know. I don't know.
You're a good supporter. Even if you get angry and frustrated, you're a good supporter.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
You're not horrible. You could be better, but you're not.
Tell me how I can improve. More hugs?
I don't know. Maybe. I'm not really sure. But like, I usually want the support, but I don't know how I want it. And typically I'm like so frustrated that I'm basically just like, don't even think about it. GTFO.
I just thought of one time that you were drumming and you were so mad, livid at yourself or your drums. I'm not really sure. And I was in this room and I didn't like peek my head out and ask if you were okay because you hurt yourself. You hit your finger or something.
Yeah.
And I was so like, bad. He sounds so mad. I'm not even going to like insert myself into this situation. And I didn't. And then you were so mad after you came in and go, why didn't you ask if I was okay?
Well, because you used to always, maybe I don't hurt myself as much anymore. So if none of you if none of you play drums at all, if there are plenty of times where the sticks end up somehow very ungently hitting your like knuckles. If you've ever had a wooden stick hit your like tight knuckle, oh God, it is. I literally cannot describe how much it hurts, especially when it's the thing you are focusing on the least.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, it takes you out of everything and it is just excruciating. It's kind of like the funny bone, but like way sharper.
Yeah.
Man, that hurts so bad. That's one of those, it's almost like a stubbing your toe too, kind of, where like it happens and it just like, it ignites something. And it's not necessarily so like
that I didn't ask if you were okay.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, I need to ask if he's okay. Apparently that helps. Like there are certain things that I do naturally that then I don't do them. And I'm like, oh, that is something that actually helps him. Like, I don't want to annoy you in those situations. Be like, are you okay? Because I know for me, that like I don't like that. Sure, it's necessary. I think if you didn't do that, then I wouldn't like that either. I just don't think I like anything in that.
You just want to be on your own. You don't want any involvement from
None.
anybody else.
None.
Just silently.
Mm-hmm. But it's nice when you're like, are you okay? And I'm like, yes, leave me alone. But you apparently needed that. You needed me to check in on you.
Well, I like to know that there's people in the room or people in the home and that I'm not alone, and like that if I was dying, you just have full negligence to my existence and if I was about to die. Like,
I don't think well, maybe.
You don't know? What if that hit was like lopped off thumb? You don't know?
I hope you'd be filming that, because that would be wild.
I hit the drum.
And it turns into a knife?
No, I hit the drum and my thumb just goes straight up.
That'd be insane.
And I'm missing it. And I'm just like...
I do know a guy that has half
just a nub?
Yeah, my neighbor.
It's like little toe fingies?
Not my current neighbor. My old neighbor.
It would kind of be like having little toe fingers.
Mm-hmm. I used to think it was a joke. I thought he was like, the like, oh, my finger's gone.
Oh,
it wasn't a joke.
How do you do it? This?
That. Yeah. You put one.
Like this?
I don't know.
Ooh, I don't know how to do that.
But it's not a joke. Confirmed a few weeks ago when I was over at my mom's house. He came over and I was like, wait, that's real? Now I know.
You literally thought it was a joke your whole life.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's
I
wild.
didn't tell him that. He would love that. Mom, if you're listening to this, don't tell him that I just found out that was for real. Because he will eat that up.
You don't see him, so who cares?
I see him every time I go over there.
You say that like you go over there all the time.
I don't. But he's like, what? Tim Allen, was that the show?
Yeah.
He's like the neighbor that...
It's just the eyeballs.
Yeah. That's my mom's neighbor. Just the eyeballs. Which is funny.
That's almost creepy.
Terrifying.
You ever think about that? Just constantly watching you.
Yeah.
What if you forget to close the blinds as you're like getting in the shower?
You don't forget.
I guess that's true.
I
guess if you don't have blinds that are in the way of your shower, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I didn't. That was like frosted glass anyway.
That's fair.
The bathroom one. That window was really small. Now that I think about that.
Yeah, it was just to let air out.
Let the farts out.
Why do you have to take it there? Why'd you have to go to farts?
I just saw your face and I knew where your head was, so I went there.
It's so gross. Okay,
Speaking of farts.
What are you...
Your face.
Speaking of farts, what? Now we can't leave them on that.
I gotta go.
You have to go? You have to go fart.
No. No, but if I did, that was going to be the joke that I needed to leave. Never
Why would
mind.
you say it and then not... You can't follow through.
I'm so sorry. I don't.
How dare you? I don't want... You're just breaking dreams over here. Well, that's not a dream. I don't want that, actually. That's a nightmare. You're breaking nightmares over here. Oh, that kind of sounds nice.
Breaking nightmares?
Nightmare breaker.
That actually sounds cool.
It's like a metal band. That's kind of what that sounds like. That'd be kind of fun.
You can go write that music right now.
Yeah, me and Ryan.
Yeah.
Just go write something.
Nightmare breaker. Breaker of nightmares.
Although, wait, wouldn't that... Wait, that'd be kind of funny. Not be like all just happy, but
so
metal.
happy metal.
Because it'd have to be dreams. Because you're breaking nightmares into dreams.
So cute. I'm writing that down. Nightmare.
What have I done?
Breaker.
All right.
Okay.
Well, on this note, thank you for listening. Please support whoever you care about. And if you have a hard time supporting them, just talk to them. That's probably going to help the most. Or rather, just listen.
Or hug them.
Yeah, there's also that.
And on the flip side, try to be nice.
Consensually, you know.
Yeah. Try to be nice to the person helping you.
Also that.
Even if they're not doing a good job for you.
That's true.
We're grateful.
Because they're trying.
I'm grateful.
Thanks. I'm grateful too. And if you're grateful for these videos, if you want to like and subscribe and turn on the notifications, and if you really want, you can support us by getting, well, and you get the episodes early, but you can support us by getting a membership on the YouTube channel or on glitterandcatlitter.com.
Please, pretty please.
And we will see you next time.